Alright, so in this tutorial we're going to talk about solving two-step equations this time. Again, we're going to solve each equation and then quickly check our answer. I have two problems here, so let's go ahead and start with the first one. Now in this problem we see that we're taking our constant and we're adding it to our variable term here. So what we're going to have to do is we're going to have to first move our constant over to the other sides and then divide by 7 to isolate our variable to get our answer. So in order to first move our 4, we're going to add our inverse. Now it's a negative 4, but remember negative numbers is really just like subtraction. So do you remember this? If we have a minus b, that's the same as doing a plus a negative b. So when we have a negative number, it's the same as subtraction. So since this is subtraction, we can think of the inverse as being addition. So I'm going to add a positive 4 again to both sides. I don't need to add it to the 7 here because that's the left side of the equation. I'm already balancing it out. I'm taking care of it right here. This is 0 and this is 7. So our problem is 7x equal to 7. So we've just completed our first step. Our second step now should in fact isolate our variable because it's our last step. So what we need to do now is divide, because we have multiplication here, divide by our coefficient, which is in fact 7. This becomes not 0, this right here, these two coefficients become 1. So we're left with x equal to, and 7 divided by 7 is also 1. So our answer is 1. Now to check, all we have to do is put 1 back into our original formula. Our original equation, and we should get 3. So we have negative 4 plus 7 times 1 is 7, and then a negative 4 plus a positive 7 is a positive 3. 3 does equal 3. Check mark says we are good to go. Okay, so let's move on to our second question here. Now this problem is slightly different because in this case we have our variable term being divided by a constant. So we still have another constant out here, so we know we can, because we're adding here, we know we can still move this one over and then we can attack this. So let's go ahead. We're going to move him over. Now he's adding, so the inverse of addition would be subtraction. So this becomes 0. This also becomes 0. So now let me rewrite the problem. We still have n over 7 equals to 0. Now, in the previous tutorial in 2.1, we talked about how we can get rid of the fraction in this case, and we can multiply by the reciprocal. Well, again, we can think of this as a 1 over 7 multiplying n. So the reciprocal, 1 over 7, the reciprocal would be 7 over 1, and we would multiply that by the other side as well. So when we do that, we know this cancels out, so we get a 1, and this actually just becomes 0. So our final answer actually is n equals to 0. This is okay. It seems weird, but remember 0 is the number 2, so it's okay if our solution is in fact 0. So let's go ahead and check our answer. So we have to plug it back in. So 0 over 7, because that's where n was, plus 2 equals 2. Well, 0 divided by 7 is 0. So in fact we do get 2 equal to 2, therefore it works. So whichever you have, try to figure out what is your first step, and then your second step will be the step in which your variable actually gets isolated. Okay? Good luck.